Hey folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It's Friday. We made it to Friday. We also made it to August 1st. And we've got Friday Night Lights coming up today. Me, DB, Smitty on the scene over at Latrobe Memorial Stadium. Going to be a great time. Hope a bunch of you can make it out there for that. This morning I'm going to talk about, well, not the Steelers, not Steelers training camp anyway. Terry McLaurin has formally requested a trade from the Washington Commanders. Got a lot of Steelers fans talking last night. Is this move possible for the Pittsburgh Steelers if the Commanders decide they are going to trade Terry McLaurin? And I think that's a big if. Can the Steelers make this trade happen? So I kind of want to break down the moving pieces here. McLaurin looking for a deal that rivals the one that the Steelers gave to DK Metcalf, which makes sense. After all, he is very productive wide receiver and has been a very productive wide receiver, even with horrible quarterback play in Washington. Now they have Jaden Daniels. He seems to be a key cog in what they're trying to do on offense and once compensated like another top wide receiver. Cortland Sutton also recently got a big deal. So could the Steelers afford to give another big money wide receiver contract to Terry McLaurin if he became available to them? The very, very easy answer to this is absolutely yes. They have tons of cap space. They can make it work easily. It would not even really be that big of a stretch for them. So, like this year, I mean, and when you stretch with these contracts, the first year is always going to have a lower cap hit. But even after the Steelers gave a huge deal, the biggest deal to a non-quarterback in NFL history, the Steelers still have a ton of cap space in 2026 and beyond. They have the 11th most cap space in 2026 right now. So, and they're not going to need a whole bunch of money for anything else. They don't have that many free agent needs next offseason. They will, I think, be aggressive in free agency, especially probably at cornerback. But like, if they're taking care of wide receiver now, they'll need a guard. Like, there's just not a whole lot of holes. Most of the additions are going to come with those 12 draft picks or trading up and getting a quarterback, and those guys don't cost money. So I think the Steelers could very easily handle adding Terry McLaurin's contract demands to their salary cap situation right now. Second question is, would they want to pay Terry McLaurin what they're paying DK Metcalf and have two wide receivers making that much money? And the answer is, of course they would. I saw some people skeptical about this because the Steelers have not traditionally paid two receivers that much money, and that's wrong. The Steelers didn't pay two receivers that much money because they had Ben Roethlisberger, and because when you're paying that much money for a franchise quarterback, one of the things that's part and parcel of that is he's going to have to find ways to make receivers better. There's just no way under a cap to pay fair market value to a franchise quarterback and have multiple wide receivers and not kill your entire rest of your team. See what the Cincinnati Bengals are going through. They're going to spend like half their cap on five guys. Is it going to work? I don't know. I think probably not. If you want to have a balanced team, you can't spend all that money at quarterback and wide receiver. You can, however, do it when you have a quarterback on a rookie contract or a quarterback that is not making elite level money. And that's going to be the case for the Steelers for the foreseeable future. They're going to draft a quarterback in the first round next year. That guy's not going to be very expensive for a while. Terry McLaurin's probably only looking for a 3 or 4 year deal. I would lean towards 3, honestly. So 4 total. He's got 1. He's still under contract for this year. And so it's absolutely something the Steelers would do. I don't know how you could look at what the rest have done this offseason and say that they wouldn't. They absolutely would. The two big questions. One, is Washington dumb enough to even actually consider trading him? And I lean pretty heavily towards no. I don't think they will. They need Terry McLaurin. They have a chance to win a Super Bowl this year with him. He's far and away their best offensive player. They got to pay him. It's just you can't have a young quarterback like Jaden Daniels and not give him good people to throw to. Terry's been good through so much trash at the quarterback position. I fully expect that this deal will get done between McLaurin and Washington. So that's big hurdle number one. Big hurdle number two would be if they decide to trade him, what would the Steelers be willing to part with that would get a deal done? And that I don't really have a good answer to. Omar Khan has made it very clear that he does not want to trade his 2026 draft picks. In fact, he wants to add to his 2026 draft capital, not subtract from it. That's why the Steelers went through free agency the way they did to maximize their comp pick return. That's why when they traded for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith, it was Minkah Fitzpatrick going the other way and not draft picks. They don't want to trade the draft picks. I don't think a normal trade, which would be like a second and a third, or 2 seconds or something like that, I don't think the Steelers would go along with that. I don't think they're willing. The quarterback is the most important thing, and the draft capital to trade up for the quarterback goes right along with that. I don't think they'll be willing to take away from that. Is there something the Steelers could trade Washington to get Terry McLaurin that's not high-level 2026, 2027 draft capital? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe you could make a trade that starts with Nick Herbig. I mean, Washington isn't very deep on the edge. They did just sign Von Miller, but he's 40-something. So, I mean, maybe. But they also play a 4-3, and I don't think that Nick Herbig is a very good fit for that scheme. Alex Highsmith would be a better fit. The problem with Alex Highsmith is the Steelers owe him a ton of money. And so a trade would open up a big dead cap hit for the Steelers. And it's possible. It's possible that they could make it work. But, I mean, they owe him $16 million in prorated signing bonus that would come on as a dead cap hit. So, I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting thought. I don't really know if I buy it, but I don't think I would have told you that I buy a Minkah Fitzpatrick trade either. So maybe we'll be a little cautious there. There is not a lot else that I see the Steelers have that the Commanders would want for that kind of trade other than draft capital, which the Steelers just will not give up. I'm certain of that. So I'm pretty skeptical this is something that's going to happen. I can't imagine the Commanders letting him go. And I also don't think if they do, the Steelers will have the best offer, because I think other teams more willing to part with draft capital would go to the front of the line. But maybe. It'll also be interesting to see if Terry McLaurin really is traded, what that does for the trade value of other players that might be on the market. It's going to be awfully tough for the Patriots to get people excited about Kendrick Bourne if someone can be trading for Terry McLaurin. So the more players that are in the trade market, even if the Steelers don't end up landing him, I think that benefits them because it'll drive the other prices down. Guys like Romeo Doubs or maybe one of the Texans receivers could be had for less because the teams that are going to pay the most are going to go for Terry McLaurin. So the Steelers should hope, whether he comes to Pittsburgh or not, that McLaurin gets traded. I don't buy it. And I've talked to people in Washington, and they don't buy it either. So something to continue monitoring, not something I'm expecting to happen right now. We got a lot of questions about it last night, so I figured good place, good time to dive into it. All right, Friday Night Lights coming up today. Steelers afternoon drive beforehand, and we'll have a practice report afterwards from Latrobe Memorial Stadium. Me, Smitty, and DB. Very excited about that. Until next time, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and enjoy.